The standard of excellence: protect your non-negotiables. Small disciplines create extraordinary results. Hey everybody, it's Natasha. Welcome in today. I want to talk about protecting your habits. There is a challenge that we're faced with every single day because things are thrown at us. That's the only thing that we can guarantee, is that we're always going to have change. So, are your daily habits building or eroding your business? The question is not whether you have habits. You do. Some of them are good, and some of them are not so good. But what are you doing daily in your routines to forge the practice and the life that you desire to have? Intentional evolution. Every action you take acts as a vote for the type of practice, type of business you intend to have. Every action either strengthens your standards or it weakens them. So make sure you choose intentionally what you're going to do each day. I love this. I'm going to read it slowly and I may read it again. Excellence is protected through consistency, not intensity. Most of you guys like to work on the place of being a firefighter. That's not always a great place to be. Working harder is not the answer. Sometimes that's a badge for you. It's like, oh, GSD, the hustle mentality, the harder I work, the better I'm producing. That is not necessarily true. Working consistently is. So I'm going to read that again without interruption. So excellence is protected through consistency, not intensity. Working harder isn't the answer. Working consistently is. Extraordinary practices aren't created by extraordinary days. They're built through ordinary disciplines repeated every single day. You guys have heard me say this quote so many times because I love it. We are what we repeatedly do. So excellence is not an accident, but it's a habit. So what are we doing every single day? From the time that we wake up, our morning routines at home, to how we show up in the practice, and then what we do even in our evening routines. Everyday reality. The friction is constant. Every day brings unexpected situations that threaten to derail standard protocols or consistent operations. If you get a lot of, hey, this, hey, that, watch out for that. We have certain systems that are non-negotiable. We'll talk about that in a minute, but how to set your day up for success. The ultimate goal. The goal isn't to eliminate chaos, because it's just not going to happen. This is life. The goal is to stay perfectly consistent through it. Phones don't stop ringing, walk-ins arrive unexpectedly, providers run behind, team members call in sick, equipment breaks, schedules change, power goes out, this, that, and the other thing. I'm sure you have a list of infinite things that can distract you from what you're actually doing. So what are some of the non-negotiables for you? So define your standards. Non-negotiables are daily disciplines that occur every single day without excuse or compromise. No matter how busy or stressful the day becomes, you do those things anyways. Again, success is not an accident, it's a habit. It's small things that we do repeatedly that gets us the result that we desire. The principle of prioritization. We execute these principles not because they're easy, but because they are foundational to patient and operational success. Everything is important. If everything's important, nothing is. So we really got to prioritize what is the main thing we need to handle, what's the primary, the secondary, and tertiary things that's going to move us closer to our goals and the success that we're looking to create. Tactical daily metrics. So these are not in any particular order, but there's some to pay attention to. Is end of the day follow-up phone calls. Every unscheduled patient receives a touch point before departure. Making sure your doctors call after the first visit. This is huge. This is a way of making people feel very valued, heard, understood, and appreciated as being part of your practice. Clear next steps. We want to make sure that every patient leaves knowing exactly what their next step of care is in the office. It's sometimes scary. You walk into some of these busy practice, there's a lot of machines machines, people are moving about the thing. They don't really know how they fit in. So make sure you're very clear in your communication what the next steps are. Completed charts, all charts, clinical documentation, that is all finished before you go home. If not, you're backlogging yourself. You're coming into a mess the next day. Nobody wants to do that. It's like going to bed and making a really big dinner, putting all the dishes in the sink and waking up the next day that you have to start your day with a sink full of dishes. We don't want to do that. Silly analogy, but it's the same thing. When you don't finish clinical notes, now you're backlogging yourself and making more work for the next day. So get disciplined and do your service and make the notes. Personal greetings. This is a small one. We want to make sure to greet every single person by name. It's creating a feeling, and that feeling is going to build trust, and the trust is going to build loyalty. And there's a lot behind that. So these are some of the non-negotiables. They're not all of them, because I have a whole list of them, as far as like coming in and doing a team meeting and huddling up with your team and measuring your office's health by key performance indicators and sub indicators. So there's a lot that goes behind it, but I'm touching generally on things that you should be mindful of. Small actions make extraordinary results. The power of consistency. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And these little touch points and consistency are huge. So I'm a Disney girl. I worked at Disneyland through university. And I remember going actually to Disney University and talking about what it is to be a cast member instead of an employee, and what it means to go on stage, which means go to work. And they were very intentional and consistent on everything that they did, from having blowers from the churro and the popcorn carts, that people would smell that and be like, I'm hungry, I want to go experience this, to when they closed the park, they'd pressure wash the streets, they'd pull dead plants out and replant new ones. There's like a whole nursery behind the scenes at Disneyland, making sure that the day is fresh and new, like it was brand new the next morning that it opened. So those were consistent, successful actions. That's why you have such an incredible experience, and why people will pay the highest dollar to go to Disneyland compared to other theme parks. So we can do that by making people feel valued when they're welcomed by their name, exceptional clarity in communication, genuine care delivered with predictability. We're educating people along the way as they become our patients. And then we continue to educate them every single encounter. This is a non-negotiable as well. What is your table talk? So there's non-negotiables for the front desk, for the case management, for your medical team, for the chiropractor, for the rehab technicians. So set the standard and don't negotiate on those things, because they create the experience and build the trust and the loyalty and all those things that I was talking about earlier. So the growth cascade. Consistency builds trust, trust builds patient loyalty, and loyalty builds incredible practice that you can scale and multiply. Tomorrow starts today. Everybody wants to focus on the moment, and I hear that all the time. And I agree with that. Is like, it's called a present because it's the gift, and let's just focus on today and not worry about tomorrow. Yes, I live parts of my life like that, but when we're being strategic in business, we absolutely should be looking ahead. So proactive planning prevents reactive panic. Let me say that one more time. Proactive planning prevents reactive panic. So top tier clinics don't run on real-time stress. They review and build standard confidence the afternoons before, 2 weeks before. So we should always be looking at, hey, what's happening tomorrow and the rest of the week towards the end of the day? How did we do today? What did we create? So it's a shift by shift, but we should be looking weeks out at a time. So review the schedule details 2 weeks in advance, confirm appointments, prepare patient charts, making sure that all the folders are pulled for the day, so you're not running around the office. If it happened to get stuck in somebody's office, you're not trying to check a patient in and going, I can't find their folder. Do you see the folder? Did you see the folder? Oh, hold on a second, Barbara. Let me go run back and try to find your folder. Now you're in chaos and you're running around frantic, and this person is now experiencing that. That is not the experience that we want to have. So these daily habits and routines, making sure that all of your patient folders are pulled and ready to go the day before. Also, always make sure that you have at least 25 sets of your new patient intake forms or whatever you're giving to the patient, so you're not making them wait while you're printing stuff off. Preparation is everything. You know, you guys have heard the saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Well, I'm going to say an ounce of preparation is worth a pound of production, and it keeps the system going, and it allows you to connect with people, and they're not wondering, do these guys even know what's going on here? Huddle daily for success. Know your daily goals shift by shift. So you say, hey, I want to see 25 people this morning. We have 22 on the books. We need to add 3 more. The afternoon, 25 is the goal. We have 25 scheduled. Okay, great. So we're going to make sure to keep that. Preparation turns tomorrow's pressure into today's control. So if you're preparing ahead of time, you're always controlling the day much better. Chaos versus confidence. Unprepared chaos, consistent surprises, disruption, missing paperwork, critical charts, unanswered questions at checkout, rushed and awkward conversations. So we've touched quite a bit on all of that just a few minutes ago. But if you're not prepared, now you're running around looking for folders, saying you got to print something off. Then you find out that your printer is out of ink, and then you got to go find another printer in the office. Tell me that I'm not the only one, and you've experienced this too. So we need to be prepared to serve. That's why, restaurants, your employees will show up an hour ahead of time because they're working on prep time activities. So once the lunch rush starts, everybody is ready to go. And you guys have felt that too, whether it's in your own clinic or you've been to a restaurant and you're like, these guys aren't even ready. Like, where's my garnish? Where's this other thing? It's because they weren't prepared to serve. So we always need to be prepared to serve, because that's the industry that we're in. We're serving others so that they can have an exceptional experience and their lives can change because of it. And they're happy to stay, pay, and refer. Proactive confidence, fully prepared, charts and histories, confirmed patients, making sure that they show up on time with the things they need to show up with. You have anticipated the financial conversations that you're going to have and how you're going to address that and move that patient along from getting to a high level of certainty where they're ready to exchange with you. And then smooth, world-class patient experience. There's no reason why you can't create the Disney experience in your practice. When faced with the unusual, do the usual. Protect the system, trust the process. Consistency creates predictability, and predictability creates excellence. I see this happen a lot. If you don't take the time to train your team, we always talk about onboarding, training, and apprenticing. Apprenticing is the long-term thing. It never stops. You train people in and they do this thing really good, and then all of a sudden they're training on something else, and that thing that was really good just goes away, and you're like, how did that even happen? It happens all the time. It's a natural thing. So we need to make sure that we're staying consistent on the systems and the protocols that we have. We need to make sure that they're written. We need to make sure that we check in with people and check their competencies on that. And then also the other thing too is if there's not a standard procedure in place for that, they're like, oh, I have a neuropathy patient in here and I don't know how to do a consult. Well, when faced with the unusual, do the usual. The format that you have for your consultation, how does that work now with somebody who is in for neuropathy versus back pain or weight loss? So make sure you have really good systems that your team can lean in on, maybe if they're new or maybe they're not certain about something. The systems and the consistency and the drilling and the role playing and the training and the apprenticing is going to help you to hold that in really tight. How standards decay. Small problems rarely stay small. Watch the progressive descent of the standard through this. So something's ignored once, one skip checklist, one arrival, missing a greeting, that's going to set the tone for getting off into left field, if you will. Accepted. So the lapse becomes the normal behavior to the team member because they forgot, like, hey, we used to do this. How many times in your yearly plannings, you should be doing them twice a year in December and June, that we're saying, hey, we want to go over these standards. This is how we do things. Like, oh, we used to do that and we were so successful. Hey, me, and I'm sure it's you too, be honest with yourself. We start accepting these differences that are happening and it becomes the new normal. And then it's kind of expected that, hey, we were doing all this stuff before and it felt like a little more work and now we're not doing it. And it's less busy and we kind of like that. That's not good. We need to come in and hold people accountable to being consistent and upholding the standards. And then culture. The system, once it's corrupted, the whole culture changes, and then it's like going down a hill covered with oil. You just slide down, and that's what happens to your revenue. It's what happens to your patient visit volume. It happens with the morale. So keeping the standard, being consistent will help grow and elevate your teams. What you tolerate today becomes tomorrow's organizational culture. Culture isn't created by a mission statement. It's built by behaviors repeated daily. Culture is built by habits and behaviors that are repeated daily. I want to talk about protecting the standards. You need to lead boldly. Leadership is not just about creating wins and being on, the offense, but it's also being on the defense, protecting certain systems that you have in place and making sure that your team understands the why behind those policies and procedures. Intervene early, correct small issues early before they scale into systemic failures. This is where I'm saying one little thing drops out, two little things drops out. And then when you're meeting with everybody, oh yeah, I remember we used to do that. And because you used to do it, you're not doing it now. That's why you're seeing your practice KPIs dropping. Coach daily, provide consistent feedback in real time, helping teams master the basics and then level up from there. Accountability, hold each other accountable. Excellence requires active alignment and support. That's what I'm talking about, is the apprenticeship. The apprenticeship comes with accountability to make sure that the systems and the policies and the things that you desired when you first created your practice are upheld. Address problems early. I'm telling you this. What you don't confront, you condone. What you allow will then become the standard. So don't wait for friction to compound, proactively resolve it, whether it's overdue patient follow-ups, missing or incomplete charts. Next thing you know, you have somebody that's got 50 incomplete charts. They decide they want to move away and they're not going to give you any notice, even though your contract says 90 days. Now, how are you going to get these 50 notes done? Or if you're doing billing, your billing is going to be stalled because the notes aren't done, the fee slips aren't created. So watch out for these things. Don't let it fall away. Make sure to address these things early. Patients drifting from the scheduled care plan. Your front desk should be the accountability partner, and then your leaders of the organization should be accountability partner to your front desk. And so that way it keeps the patients coming in. Small problems are cheap to solve, but if you ignore them, these problems become incredibly expensive. So handle it when it's small. Why it matters, the detail cascade. Every single phone call matters. Every single greeting matters. Every single clinical detail matters. Every patient touch point matters. It's really important that you write this in your employee manual, what you're looking to create, why all of these things are important, so people understand the why behind the action. Little things are never small. Hear me. Little things are never small. To the person on the receiving end of your service, the tiny micro interactions from their entire experience is your brand. It's the devil's in the details, if you will. It's all of the little tiny things that equate to the large, bigger experience. So your challenge, select 1 or 2 pillars to master today. Don't try to do 50 things, okay? Because then you're just going to feel overwhelmed. You're going to stress your team out. They're going to feel overwhelmed. Focus leads to execution. Choose what you will protect starting tomorrow. Here's one. Could be, write yourself a little playbook. Write it down, align with your team, protect those things daily. Complete every customer follow-up before leaving. Review the schedule together every afternoon and every morning. Greet every client instantly by name. Finish charts and reports before going home. Don't leave yourself a mess for the next morning. So here's a couple of reflection questions. System slippage. What small lapse have I started accepting that desperately needs to be addressed? And really get honest with yourself. Why are you not addressing it? Are you afraid to talk to somebody? Are you afraid somebody's going to leave your organization? If you have that fear that you can't go talk to somebody because you're going to upset them, they're not the right person for your team. That's not the culture you want to create. High impact habit. Which specific daily habit has the single greatest impact on your customer experience? Ask your teams this. Get feedback and then structure around that. Cultural mirror. If everyone works with my exact level of consistency, what kind of culture would you create? So how do you create carbon copies of yourself, your work ethic? That's what leaders do. Leaders bring up other leaders. And if you don't have somebody who's leading in your office or is being defiant against that, don't have them on your team. It will pull down the rest of them. The old saying is you're only as strong as your weakest link. That's where it becomes an issue, because these people will destroy your daily habits, the things that you should be protecting. Other people are destroying. You need to get them off your team ASAP. So weekly challenge, choose one discipline, commit to it completely, select one non-negotiable this week and defend it with high integrity. At weekend, ask yourself, did protecting this habit make my day easier, my week easier? Did it improve our customer interactions? Did it strengthen the trust within my team? And also, did it strengthen the trust to your patients? Small disciplines create unstoppable momentum. The standard cycle. So structural alignment of premium enterprise starts and ends with basic accountability. Habits, standardized daily behaviors, culture, shared team values, and execution. Reputation. The marketplace perception of our consistency builds our reputation. And then growth. Scaling results, allowing us to serve more people and getting great results. When people get great results, they refer other people to the office, and they also stay and pay. Protect the habits that matter the most. Excellence isn't built in big moments. It's protected in ordinary ones. So if you want extraordinary results, start fiercely protecting the small things every single day. Put accountability on your team. Teach your team how to put accountability on their teams or the patients that they're taking care of. That way, everybody achieves results. Your patients achieve their health results and have incredible lifestyle and pain changes and other things. They're moving towards their goals. And for your teams as well, they're moving towards their personal and professional and financial goals. Everybody wins when we have consistency and we protect the systems that we have in place. Be blessed, be a blessing. Leave any questions, comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. We'll see you next time.
If this helped, give this video a like and share it with someone who needs this.